Good day to each and everyone, and good day, ma'am. First, I'm going to introduce myself. I am Leah Ontohan. Together with me, Ferrer, Garcia, Libre, Guerrero, and Gamotia. We are going to discuss our topic about the problem of human trafficking. So, what is human trafficking? Human trafficking. Trafficking in persons is a serious crime and a grave violation of human rights. Every year, thousands of men, women, and children fall into the hands of traffickers in their own country and even abroad. Almost every country in the world is affected by trafficking, whether as a country of origin, transit, or destination for victims. Human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Examples of human trafficking and slavery: adults and children can be trafficked or enslaved and forced to sell their bodies for sex. People are also trafficked or enslaved for labor exploitation, for example, to work on a farm or factory, to work in a house as a servant, maid, or nanny.
Elements of human trafficking. So we have the act, the means, the purpose. So the elements of human trafficking. So we have the act, the means, the purpose. So the act, what is done? It involves the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of person with or without the victim's consent or knowledge within or across national borders. So next, the means, how it is done. Threat or use of force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or vulnerability, or giving payments of benefits to a person in control of the victim. So, it is committed by use threat of force or other forms of coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, or position, taking advantage of the vulnerability of the person or the giving or receiving of payments or benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person. Last, the purpose, why it is done. For the purpose of exploitation, which include exploiting the prostitution of others, sexual exploitation, forced labor, slavery, or similar practices, and the removal of organs. So here, it is done for the purpose of exploitation or the prostitution of others or other forms of sexual exploitation, forced labor or services, slavery, involuntary servitude, or the removal or sale of organs.
So my topic is criminalization of human trafficking. So criminalization of human trafficking means to provide consistency and consensus around the world on the phenomena of human trafficking in person. Article 5 therefore requires that the conduct set out in Article 3 criminalized in domestic legislation. So attempts to commit a trafficking offense, organizing or directing others to commit trafficking, participation is accomplished in such an offense. So the criminalization of human trafficking has been driven in part by classic interdependence. So national legislation should adopt the broad definition of trafficking prescribed in the protocol. So traffickers often compel victims to engage in criminal activities such as prostitution, pickpocketing, drug trafficking, and even kidnapping by recruiting other victims. So, occurs both across borders and within a country, is for a range of exploitative purposes, victimizes children, women, and men, takes place with or without involvement of organized crime groups. So, example of prostitution. Prostitution is the process of performing sexual acts in exchange for money without the use of force. So, example, these are the people who really need to earn at least a little for their daily needs, even against their thoughts.
Types of human trafficking. Human trafficking is not the same of human smuggling. It is consensual, whereas trafficking is done against a person's will. There are three types of human trafficking: the sex trade, forced labor, and the domestic servitude. The sex trade is a crime when women, men, or children are forcefully involved in commercial sex act. For example, two women from Korea are brought into San Francisco under the pretense that they will receive jobs as hostesses or waitress. When they arrive, they are held captive and forced prostitution while their captain controls the money they receive. Another type of human trafficking is forced labor. Forced labor can be understood as work that is performed involuntarily and under the menace of any penalty. For example, a family gives up a child to adoption agent in Nepal because they cannot afford to care for him. He is then in turn sold a sweet shop owner who forces the child to learn to sew garments without pay for hours each day. The child receives minimal nutrition and does not attend school. Domestic servitude. Domestic servitude is seemingly normal practice in live-in help that is used as cover for exploitation and control of someone, usually from another country. Domestic servitude is a form of trafficking in human beings which is extremely difficult to detect because the work is performed in private residences, a seemingly formal practice that is used as cover for exploitation, control of someone. For example, nannies or other domestic help.
So our topic is human trafficking, the problem. Human trafficking happens in almost every country in the world, including the United States. Traffickers represent every social, ethnic, and racial group. Human trafficking, it is illegal exploitation of a person that are highly profitable crime in a violation of human rights, and it can happen to anyone. Their victims can be any age, race, or gender, but one thing they're similar is they are vulnerable to be exploited. Traffickers may exploit youth for the commercial sex or forced labor, recruiting, enticing, harboring, transporting, providing, obtaining, and or maintaining a minor for the purpose of commercial sexual exploitation. Exploiting a minor through survival sex, exchanging sex or sexual act for the money or something of value, such as shelter, food, or drugs. Exploiting a minor by having her or him to perform in a sexual venues such as peep show or strip clubs. Young people, especially those with risk factor, are vulnerable to human trafficking. These young people are often preyed on by traffickers and lured with false promises of love, money, or a simple better life in the future. Human traffickers target young people because they see children as vulnerable and easy to manipulate. When we say vulnerable, this type of people are homeless and neglected, especially a child with a low esteem. They encourage this type of people by offering a job opportunities and make a false promises to them, such as love, money, or simple better life in the future. Human traffickers prey on people's dream and lure them away for their own benefit.
Therefore, human trafficking does not occur in the United States. It is a global problem that does not discriminate against any age, gender, or race.